Take a slow breath in and let it drift out gently. Allow your shoulders to soften. Allow your jaw to unclench. Feel the quiet space around you. There is nothing you need to do now, nowhere you need to go, only the calm rhythm of your breathing and the soft weight of rest slowly settling in. Imagine a cool evening breeze brushing across your skin. Imagine distant leaves rustling in the dark. Somewhere far away, a hearth crackles softly. The day is ending, and so are its burdens. Our story today begins at the edge of a fading battlefield that never truly saw a fight. The sky is painted in deep blue and fading gold. The last light of the sun rests gently on the stone walls of a quiet keep. Inside those walls walks a knight, not charging, not shouting, not raising a sword, but walking slowly with measured steps across a courtyard that smells of cool stone and evening air. His armor is still on, and it is heavy. He has worn it since dawn, not because he battled dragons, not because he fought through armies, but because that is what was expected. Legends tell us knights live inside their armor, that they ride endlessly into glory. But the truth is, softer armor presses into the shoulders. It warms beneath the sun. It stiffens the neck. It rubs against the ribs with every breath. And tonight, this knight is ready to lay it down. He reaches his chamber, a quiet room lit by candlelight. The flame flickers gently, casting slow-moving shadows across stone walls. The air inside is warmer, touched by the faint scent of burning wood. From the hearth he closes the heavy wooden door, and for a moment he simply stands there, breathing, listening. To the silence his gloved hands rise slowly to the clasps. At his throat, metal shifts softly. A faint scrape, a muted clink. The sound is not loud. It is almost soothing. One piece at a time, he begins. The helmet is first, lifted carefully. Set aside on a wooden table, the sudden lightness around his head feels like stepping into open air. Cool evening air touches his hair. The helmet rests quietly on the table, its curved surface still warm from the long day. He lifts his hands to the straps at his wrists. One buckle loosens, then another. The gauntlets slide away. His fingers emerge slowly. Cool air brushes across skin that has not felt it since morning. He flexes them gently, the movement small but deeply satisfying. The weight leaves him piece by piece. Shoulder plates follow, heavy curved metal lowered. With care, not dropped, not discarded. Placed down with quiet respect. The chest plate remains the heaviest part. He pauses, breath steady. Straps loosen slowly, leather sighs as tension fades. And then he lifts the armor. Away. The sound is soft, a dull shift of steel. When it leaves his body, his spine straightens naturally. Air moves easier through his lungs. Underneath is simple linen. Wrinkled, warm, honest. He steps closer to the hearth. Firelight reaches him without barrier. Warmth touches his chest, his shoulders, his neck. He closes his eyes briefly and exhales. Not a dramatic sigh, just relief. The kind that arrives quietly outside the wind moves, through trees. Leaves whisper against one another inside the chamber. Only crackling embers respond. He is no longer a figure of legend, only a tired man, standing in gentle firelight. He bends to remove his boots, leather creases softly in his hands. One boot set beside the other, neatly without haste. The stone floor feels cool beneath his feet. Grounded, real, he walks toward the window. Moonlight spills across the courtyard, silver and calm. No guards shout, no horses stir. The gates remain closed. Peace has settled over the keep. He rests his palms on the cold stone ledge, breathing slowly, feeling how light his body has become without steel pressing at his ribs, Without weight on his shoulders, he rolls his neck gently. A small circle. Then stillness. The wind brushes past the tower. A low, steady hum, almost like distant waves, closes the shutters halfway, letting the room dim. Firelight now softer, more golden. His sword stands untouched in the corner. Tonight it is only metal, not purpose. He turns away from the window, moving back toward the hearth, each step quieter than before. His body no longer restricted his movements, no longer rehearsed. He lowers himself into a wooden chair. The wood creaks faintly. He leans back, hands resting loosely at his sides. Eyes half closed. The fire crackles gently, and warmth settles deep into his muscles. He rises slowly, crossing the room toward a small wooden chest, its lid worn smooth by years of use. He opens it carefully. Inside are simple things: folded cloth, a comb, a single letter edges softened with time. He lifts the letter, holding it near the firelight. He does not read it aloud. He only remembers the steady hand that once wrote those lines, the warmth in those words, a reminder that even nights belong somewhere. He folds it, again placing it back with care. The lid closes with a quiet thud. He turns toward his bed, a plain wooden frame, a wool blanket folded at the foot, a straw mattress shaped by many nights. He sits at the edge. The bed dips slightly. No armor shifts, no metal scrapes, only cloth against cloth. He lies back slowly, pulling the blanket over his chest. The fire now lower. Its glow softer shadows drift lazily along the stone walls. His breathing deepens. Each inhale steady, each exhale longer than the last. Muscles release, shoulders sink. The day loosens its hold. The chamber grows quiet. Only the faint crackle of embers remains. Red light pulses softly in the hearth. He places one hand over his heart, feeling its calm, steady rhythm. Strong, uncovered, alive outside the tower. An owl glides through the night wings, silent against the dark sky. Stars shift slowly overhead, but inside this small room, time feels still. He lets his thoughts drift not toward duty, not toward battle, only toward rest. The mattress supports him gently, the blanket warm across his chest. His jaw relaxes, his brow smooths. Breathing slower now, even peaceful sleep does not rush him. It approaches quietly, like a soft cloak laid across tired shoulders. The knight who laid down his armor now lays down his thoughts. The fire dims further, turning from flame to glow. And in that gentle fading light he drifts, not into glory, not into legend, but into deep, earned rest. The embers shift softly in the hearth, a small glow rising and fading, like a slow-breathing light. He listens to that rhythm, matching it with his own. Inhale, gentle exhale. The room feels warmer now, not from flame alone, but from the absence of burden. His shoulders sink deeper into the mattress, the straw beneath him shaped by years of quiet nights. No armor presses into his ribs. No strap tightens across his chest. Only fabric resting lightly against skin. Outside the stone walls, the wind moves across the fields. Tall grass bends in patient waves, the sound faint, like distant whispers, meant only for the night. He turns slightly onto his side, the blanket following without resistance. His body no longer guarded, no longer braced. He remembers the weight of morning, the cold metal touching his skin, the expectation carried before sunrise, and he feels the contrast. This softness, this stillness, this simple human rest. His fingers curl loosely into the wool, warm, textured. Real, he breathes again. Slower now, thoughts untangling like straps being loosened one by one. The day fades not in fragments, but in gentle surrender. Sleep draws closer. The fire has nearly settled. Only a quiet orange glow remains. It paints the ceiling with faint, shifting shadows. He watches them through heavy eyes, shapes forming and dissolving. Nothing sharp, nothing urgent. Breathing deepens further, each inhale filling his lungs with calm, each exhale carrying the last pieces of tension away. Somewhere below in the keep, a door closes softly. Footsteps pass along a distant corridor. Then, silence returns. Thick, comforting, he feels the slow beat of his heart beneath his palm. Steady, unhurried. There is no armor between him and that rhythm, no steel to muffle it. Only warmth, own life. His legs stretch. Slightly beneath the blanket. The mattress shifts with a muted rustle. He allows his eyes to close fully now. Darkness behind his eyelids. Soft and welcoming. He imagines the courtyard bathed in moonlight, empty and still. No banners moving, no torches raised. Only night air brushing against ancient stone. And in that imagined quiet, he feels himself drift deeper. Sleep approaches like mist across a field, gradual, weightless. He does not resist it. He lets it settle around him. His thoughts move slower now, images softening at their edges. The clang of metal from earlier hours feels distant, unimportant. The legend of knighthood fades, leaving only a man, resting, breathing. Dreams begin to form gently, not of battle, but of open fields, of riding without urgency, of sunlight that warms without scorching. He feels wind against his face in that dream, light and playful, not sharp, not demanding. His body remains still upon the bed, but his mind wanders peacefully across quiet hills, through forests where leaves murmur softly. Even in dreams he is unarmored, free of weight, free of expectation. The embers dim further, their glow softer than before. The room now wrapped in shadow, but it is a safe shadow, a restful one. He sinks deeper into sleep, as though the mattress itself is guiding him down into comfort, into calm. Night continues its silent watch over the keep. Clouds drift slowly across the moon, casting brief shadows over the courtyard stones. Inside the chamber, the air remains warm, held gently by thick walls and fading embers. He turns slightly in his sleep, a small movement, untroubled, his breathing steady and even. In his dreams, there is no armor rack, no heavy chest plate, only simple cloth moving with him. He walks beside a quiet stream, water flowing softly over smooth stones. The sound soothing, endless. He kneels there, letting cool water run across his hands, washing away dust that never truly clung. The stream reflects stars above, clear and bright. In that dream world he feels lighter still, as though even memory has loosened its grip. The responsibilities of daylight do not follow him here. They remain outside, beyond the chamber. Beyond the night, sleep deepens, carrying him further into softness. Hours pass unnoticed. The moon climbs higher, then begins its slow descent. Inside the room, the last ember fades, leaving only darkness. But it is a gentle darkness, full and complete. He remains still, wrapped in warmth. Wrapped in earned peace, dreams shift quietly. Now he stands again in the courtyard, but without armor, without sword. The air is cool. Morning light just beginning to touch the horizon. He feels no rush to prepare. No command calling his name. Only calm anticipation of another simple day. In sleep his body restores itself. Muscles repairing. Breath steady, heart calm. The marks left by metal earlier will fade, leaving skin smooth once more. Even nights require this renewal. This silent mending, the keep itself seems to rest with him. Stone walls unmoving, towers quiet against the sky, all held in that shared stillness. Night nearing its end, but not yet. Gone. A faint grey light begins to gather beyond the shutters, dawn approaching slowly. Without fanfare he stirs gently, not awake, not yet, somewhere between dream and morning. His breathing shifts slightly, deeper then softer. Again, the world outside prepares for another day. But inside this chamber, rest still reigns. He lies unguarded, unburdened. No armor waiting on his shoulders, only simple garments folded nearby. Ready but patient, the new day will come with its tasks, with its duties, but for this final quiet moment, he remains untouched by them, held in the last embrace of night. And as the first bird calls softly in the distance, he inhales slowly, carrying with him the peace earned in darkness. The knight who laid down his armor will rise again, but lighter because he allowed himself. A thin ribbon of morning light slips through the edges of the shutters. It stretches quietly across the stone floor. Climbing the wall with patient grace, he remains still suspended in that gentle space between sleep, and waking his breathing slow, deep, untroubled. The air in the chamber has cooled slightly. The warmth of the hearth now only a memory held in stone, yet beneath the wool blanket he feels safe, comforted, whole outside thee. Keep the world begins to stir. A distant rooster calls, not sharply, but softly, as though careful not to disturb the lingering night. Somewhere in the courtyard, a stable door opens, wood brushing against wood, muted. Respectful morning does not rush him, it waits. He shifts slightly beneath the blanket, one arm moving from his chest to rest at his side. No stiffness greets him, no ache from tightened straps, only the natural heaviness of a body well rested. He inhales slowly, filling his lungs with cool dawn air, and exhales with ease. His eyes flutter open just enough to sense the light, not bright, not demanding, just a pale silver promise of a new day. He does not rise immediately. There is no urgency, no trumpet sounding, no command echoing through stone halls. Only the quiet knowledge that rest has done its work. His muscles feel restored, his thoughts unclouded. Burdens of yesterday remain set aside with the armor, and for one more lingering moment he allows himself to simply exist, breathing unarmored calm. The light grows a little stronger, spreading gently across the chamber walls. He blinks slowly, eyes adjusting without strain. There is no sudden movement, no sharp awakening, only a gradual return to the world. He draws a long, steady breath, feeling how freely it moves through his chest. No rigid plate pressing down, no leather strap pulling tight, just air, cool and clean. He turns onto his back, stretching one arm above his head. The motion, smooth, unrestricted. A faint smile touches his face. Small, almost unnoticed. The memory of last night lingers. The quiet placing of armor upon wood. The relief that followed. He lets his feet slide toward the edge of the bed, resting there for a moment before they meet the stone floor. The coolness rises gently through his skin, grounding him, bringing him fully awake. He sits upright slowly, the blanket falling softly to his waist. Morning. Air brushes against his shoulders. Light and honest. The chamber looks different now. Less golden, more pale. Yet still calm. His armor remains where it was left. Helmet beside gauntlets. Chest plate resting against the table, silent, waiting, but it does not call to him. Not yet. He runs a hand through his hair, breathing in once more. Deep and steady. Another day will come. with its quiet duties, but because he rested, because he laid it down. He rises lighter, stronger, ready not from glory, but from peace. He remains seated for a while, letting the quiet of morning fully settle around him. The keep has begun to wake. Soft footsteps pass somewhere beyond the corridor. Voices murmur faintly below, muted by thick stone walls. Yet inside this chamber calm still lingers. He stands slowly rolling his shoulders once, testing the easy movement of unburdened muscles. There is no stiffness, only a gentle reminder of strength, earned, not forced. He walks toward the small basin near the window. A clay pitcher rests beside it, cool water waiting. He pours carefully, the stream clear and steady. When he cups his hands and lifts the water to his face, the chill awakens him fully, not harsh but refreshing. Droplets fall quietly back into the basin. He exhales, feeling present, aware. The shutters are open just enough to let in the morning breeze. It carries the scent of damp earth and distant fields, fresh grass touched by dew. The courtyard below glows faintly under early light. Servants move slowly, beginning their tasks. No one looks upward. No one calls his name. For this moment he belongs only to himself. He turns back toward the room, toward the armor resting patiently. It does not feel heavy now, not from a distance, because he knows when it returns to his shoulders, it will not stay there forever. There will be evening again, another quiet chamber, another fire, another chance to lay it down. And that knowing makes the morning lighter. He moves toward the table where his armor rests. The metal catches the pale morning light, soft reflections sliding across its surface. It no longer feels like a burden waiting, only a tool. Silent, patient, he does not reach for it immediately. Instead, he picks up his linen tunic, running his fingers across the fabric. Simple threads woven for comfort, not for show. He slips it over his head. The cloth falls naturally against his shoulders, light, breathable. A quiet contrast to the steel beside him. He fastens it slowly, unhurried, listening to the distant sounds of the keep growing livelier, wood being stacked, water drawn from a well, a horse snorting softly in the courtyard, life moving forward. Without urgency, he lifts the chest plate next, not with dread, but with calm understanding. His hands steady, he studies it for a moment, tracing faint scratches along its surface, marks from training, from long rides beneath the sun. Stories etched without words. He does not rush to wear it. Instead, he sets it down again, choosing first to stand at the open window, breathing in the morning air, letting sunlight warm his face. He knows the day will ask things of him, small tasks, quiet responsibilities, but because he allowed himself to rest, because he laid down his armor in the dark, he feels ready, not hardened, not tense, but balanced steel and softness, duty and peace. And with one final steady breath, he turns back toward the waiting day. He reaches again for the chest plate, this time lifting it with steady hands. The metal is cool from the night, no longer warm with yesterday's strain. He positions it carefully against his torso, the familiar weight settling into place. But it feels different now, not overwhelming, not tight. Because his body is rested, his breath remains slow as he fastens each strap, leather drawn firm, but not forced. He pauses after each buckle, ensuring comfort, ensuring space. The armor is worn, yet it does not own him. The shoulder plates follow, resting against linen. Balanced, secure, he flexes his arms slightly, testing the movement. There is strength there, calm strength. He slides his boots back onto his feet, tying them with deliberate ease, each motion measured, unhurried. Finally, he lifts the helmet, holding it at his side. For a moment, he looks around the chamber at the bed, still warm, at the hearth now dark, at the quiet corners where shadow lingers. This room held his rest, held his unguarded breath. He inclines his head slightly, a silent gratitude. Then he places the helmet on. The world narrows just a little, sound softened, vision framed. Yet inside, he remains unchanged because he remembers the feeling of laying it down, the lightness, the humanity beneath steel, and knowing that evening will come again. He steps toward the door, not as a legend, not as a warrior of endless battle, but as a man who understands the power of rest. The wooden door opens with a low, familiar creak. Morning light spills into the corridor beyond. Soft grey and pale gold. He steps out slowly, boots meeting stone with a muted echo. Other figures move quietly through the passage, servants carrying baskets, a guard adjusting his belt. No one stares, no one bows deeply. It is an ordinary morning, and that ordinariness feels comforting. He walks along the corridor, the weight of armor steady, but balanced, not pressing, not dragging, because rest has changed how it sits upon him. A narrow window along the hall lets in a thin stream of sunlight. Dust motes drift lazily through it, turning in gentle spirals. He pauses for a brief moment, watching them, tiny shapes moving without purpose, without burden. Then he continues, down the winding stairs. Each step measured, each breath. Even the courtyard greets him with cool air. Dew still clings to the grass along the stone edges. A stable boy brushes a horse nearby, the animal's breath visible in the crisp light. The world does not expect spectacle. It simply unfolds, as it always does. He crosses the courtyard calmly, feeling the morning settle into rhythm. Armor and all he carries within him, the memory of firelight, of linen, of unguarded sleep. And that memory softens every movement, from steel. Sometimes it rises from quiet nights, from embers fading gently, from the simple act of laying it down. He moves toward the outer gate where the morning watch stands. Two guards speak in low voices, their breath forming pale clouds in the cool air. They nod as he approaches. Not stiff, not overly formal, just a quiet acknowledgement. He rests a hand on the stone wall beside him, feeling its rough surface beneath his glove. Solid, enduring, beyond the gate the fields stretch wide, soft light spilling over rolling grass. A thin mist lingers close to the ground, drifting slowly, like sleep that has not fully lifted. He inhales deeply, the scent of earth and dew filling his lungs. Armor shifts lightly with the movement, but it does not confine him, because inside he remains at ease. A farmer's cart creaks along a distant path, wood wheels turning steadily. Life beginning its simple rhythm. There is no battle waiting beyond the horizon, no urgent call, only routine. He steps just outside the gate, boots pressing into damp soil. The ground yields slightly beneath him, real and grounding. For a moment he removes his helmet, holding it at his side, letting the breeze touch his hair once more. The wind is gentle, carrying the faint sound of birds waking in the trees. He closes his eyes briefly, feeling the balance between steel and skin. Between duty and rest, he knows he will wear the armor today. He knows it will carry weight. But he also knows when the sun fades again, there will be firelight, there will be linen, there will be a quiet room, and the simple relief of laying it down. He places the helmet back upon his head, not with reluctance, but with quiet acceptance. The world narrows again to the soft frame of steel, yet his breath remains steady. Untroubled, he turns back toward the gate, stepping, Inside the walls once more. The guards resume their watch. The stable boy continues brushing the horse. Nothing dramatic shifts. The day unfolds gently. He walks along the inner path of the courtyard. Sunlight now stronger, touching banners that hang from the stone towers. They move lazily in the breeze. No urgent snapping, only soft motion. A few townspeople enter through the gate, carrying baskets of grain, cloth wrapped carefully around. Loaves of bread. They speak quietly, their lives steady and grounded. He observes them without distance, without feeling apart. Armor may separate him in appearance, but rest has reminded him he is made of the same breath, the same quiet need for sleep. He pauses near the well, listening to the rope slide against wood, the bucket descending slowly into cool darkness. There is rhythm everywhere, in footsteps, in voices, in the turning of wheels, and in his own heartbeat beneath steel. He rests his hand briefly over his chest, feeling that familiar steady pulse, alive, calm, balanced. The memory of last night's warmth lingers like a hidden ember within him. It does not fade with daylight, it stays. A reminder that strength is not only worn, it is renewed in stillness, in silence, in the quiet laying down of armor. The sun climbs higher above the towers, casting longer beams across the courtyard stones. Warmth begins to replace the cool breath of dawn. He walks toward the training yard, not hurried, not tense. The clang of distant practice rings softly in the air, metal meeting metal. Measured, controlled young squires move through drills, their movements eager, sometimes uneven. He watches for a moment, not as a stern commander, but as someone who remembers the first time steel felt heavy in his own hands. He steps forward calmly, adjusting a stance here, correcting a grip there. His voice low, steady, never sharp. Armor shifts as he demonstrates a movement, yet his body flows easily beneath it, because tension does not lead him, awareness does. A breeze crosses the yard, carrying the scent of straw and sun-warmed wood. Dust lifts briefly from the ground, then settles again. He removes his helmet once more, setting it aside on a nearby bench, allowing the air to cool his brow. Sweat does not gather as quickly today. His body works without strain. Balanced between effort and ease, the squires continue their practice. More focused now, more grounded. He nods, slightly satisfied. The day moves forward. Simple tasks, quiet lessons, no sudden alarms, no raised banners, only the steady rhythm of living. And beneath the sound of practice steel, he carries a softer memory. Firelight, linen, stillness. A reminder that when evening comes again, he will lay it down and find that peace once more. The training yard settles into a steady rhythm. Steel meets steel with controlled restraint. Boots shift against packed earth. Breath rises and falls in measured patterns. He moves among the young squires, correcting, gently, guiding with quiet patience. There is no harshness in his tone, only calm instruction. He adjusts a shield angle, straightens a spine, nods once in approval. The sun climbs higher, warming the stones beneath their feet. Light reflects softly from polished armor, but inside he remains unburdened, because he knows armor is only worn, not lived in. After a time he steps back, allowing the squires to continue. He retrieves his helmet from the bench, holding it for a moment, feeling its familiar curve. Then he chooses not to put it on yet. Instead, he walks towards the shade of the courtyard wall, where ivy climbs slowly between the cracks. The leaves rustle in the breeze, soft and steady. He leans lightly against the cool stone, closing his eyes just for a breath, listening to wind, to distant voices. to the quiet turning of the day. There is strength in this stillness, strength that does not shout, that does not demand. He opens his eyes again, clear-focused, ready not from tension, but from rest carried within him. The day continues unremarkable, peaceful, and in that ordinary flow he finds balance. Still outside, calm within, the morning slowly turns toward midday. Shadows shorten across the courtyard stones. Voices grow a little fuller, laughter drifting from the far side of the keep. He pushes away from the ivy-covered wall, standing upright, once more, the weight of armor resting evenly along his frame. He walks towards the inner hall, where long wooden tables line the stone room. Simple food has been set out, bread still warm, a bowl of stew steaming gently. He removes his gloves before sitting, flexing his fingers again. That small gesture of freedom, he eats slowly, unhurried, listening to quiet conversation around him. Talk of crops, of repairs to the outer fence, of a stray dog that wandered through the gate. Nothing urgent, nothing grand. He finds comfort in these ordinary details, because life is built from them, not from legend. Sunlight filters through narrow windows, casting soft stripes along the table. He rests his hands around a cup of water, feeling its cool surface. He does not speak much, only nods, only listens. Present, grounded after the meal, he rises calmly, placing his gloves back on. The afternoon awaits with more simple tasks, more measured steps, and as he steps back into the courtyard, light he carries with him, the steady, quiet truth that armor may shape his form, but rest shapes his strength. The afternoon air feels warmer now, sunlight resting fully across the stone walls. He walks along the inner perimeter of the keep, inspecting quietly, not searching for danger, only observing. A mason works near the western tower, carefully setting a fresh stone into place. The soft tap of hammer against chisel echoes gently. Measured, patient, he pauses to watch, appreciating the steady rhythm of the craft. Strength built slowly, layer upon layer, much like his own. Further along the path, children from the nearby village gather near the well. Their laughter light, unburdened, they chase one another across the open space. Feet quick, voices bright. He watches them with calm eyes, remembering a time before armor, before duty, before expectation. There is no regret in the memory, only understanding that every life moves through seasons, from lightness to weight and back. Again, a breeze carries warmth across his face. He removes his helmet briefly, letting sunlight touch his brow. The day remains peaceful. No alarms sound, no messenger rides through the gate. Only the steady unfolding of hours. He walks toward the outer wall, resting his hands upon the stone, looking across the fields, stretching far beyond, golden in the afternoon glow. He breathes deeply, feeling the balance within him, armor secure, heart steady, mind calm, because when night comes again, he will return to firelight, to linen, to that quiet, sacred moment when steel is set aside and he is simply human. Dusk settles gently over the keep, lantern light flickers along the corridor walls. He climbs the stone steps at an unhurried pace, each footfall steady, measured. The sounds of the courtyard fade behind him, replaced by softer echoes within the tower. At his chamber door he pauses, hand resting briefly on the wood, breathing in, breathing out. Then he enters. The room greets him with familiar stillness, the hearth already prepared, a small flame beginning to grow. He removes his helmet first, setting it upon the table, the sound of metal touching wood, quiet and calm. Cool air brushes against his face, Relief arrives slowly, like evening mist drifting across. Open land. He loosens the straps at his shoulders. One by one the weight shifts, lightens, the chest plate lifts away, carried carefully in both hands, placed down with respect, not discarded, never thrown aside, because it has served its purpose. Gauntlets follow boots removed, each piece resting neatly where it belongs. Underneath remains linen, warm from the day he moves closer to the fire, watching the flames stretch upward, their glow soft against stone. His shoulders drop naturally, breath deepening, the tension of hours dissolving. Outside, the first true stars fill the sky. Inside this quiet chamber he stands, unarmored once more, not weakened but restored. And as the fire crackles gently, he feels the familiar peace return, the gentle reminder that strength is renewed each night when steel is laid down. The fire grows steadier, casting a warm amber glow across the chamber walls. Shadows move slowly, stretching and folding like quiet breaths. He removes the final layer of linen, replacing it with a softer nightshirt. Light fabric that falls easily against his skin. No weight, no restraint. He bends to gather the armor pieces, wiping away the faint dust of the day, not polishing for glory, only caring for what protects him. Each scratch along the metal catches the firelight, telling silent stories of long rides, of steady practice, of patient endurance. He sets the armor neatly upon its stand, where it will rest until morning. Then he moves to the basin, pouring cool water once more, letting it run over his hands, across his face, washing away the warmth of the sun. Droplets fall quietly into stone. The sound small, calming. He crosses to the window, opening it just enough. Night air flows in, carrying the scent of distant fields and faint wood smoke from village hearths below. He listens to crickets beginning their soft rhythm, to the gentle murmur of life settling for the night. No alarm, no rush, only peace. He returns to the bed, sitting slowly at its edge, feeling the simple strength of wood beneath him. The fire dims slightly, lower, gentler. He stretches out upon the mattress, pulling the blanket over his chest, and as his breathing slows, he feels once more that quiet relief, the sacred balance between steel and skin, between duty and rest. The room grows softer as the fire settles, flames shrinking into glowing embers. Their light low and steady, he lies still upon the bed, eyes half closed, breathing slow and even. The blanket rises and falls gently with each breath. Outside the window the night deepens. Stars scattered across a dark velvet sky. An owl calls once. Then silence returns. He turns slightly onto his side, the mattress yielding quietly beneath him. There is no stiffness now, no ache from tightened straps, only the calm heaviness of a body ready for sleep. His thoughts drift without urgency. Images of the courtyard at dawn, of sunlight across the training yard, of children laughing near the well. Ordinary moments, simple, steady. They pass through his mind like clouds, uncaught, unheld. He exhales, slowly releasing the final trace of the day. The embers glow faintly, pulsing like a quiet heartbeat in the corner, their warmth still reaching him. Gentle, protective, he places one hand over his chest again, feeling his own steady rhythm beneath the linen. A live, calm, balanced sleep approaches without force, like a soft tide rolling in, covering thought, covering motion. And as his eyes close fully, the knight who laid down his armor lays down the day once more, drifting into rest, wrapped not in steel, but in silence. Night holds the chamber in quiet stillness. The embers dim to a soft red glow, barely lighting the edges of stone. He sleeps deeply now, breath smooth, unbroken. The world beyond the walls continues its gentle turning wind. moves through distant trees. Clouds pass slowly over the moon. Yet none of it disturbs him. His body rests without defense, without readiness, hands relaxed, fingers loose against the blanket. In his dreams, he walks once more through the courtyard. But there is no armor rack, no waiting steel, only open air, cool and kind. He crosses the stone path barefoot, feeling each surface clearly aware. Present the well stands quietly at the center, water reflecting stars like scattered silver. He leans over it, seeing not a warrior, not a legend, but a simple man, breathing alive. The dream shifts gently. Now he stands upon the outer wall, fields stretching endlessly. Before him, golden beneath a setting sun, there is no call to battle, only wind brushing softly across tall grass. The horizon calm, untroubled. Even in sleep his heart remains steady, carrying that quiet strength born from rest. Because laying down armor night after night teaches something deeper, that steel may guard the body, but stillness restores the soul. And in that deepening darkness he continues to drift, safe unburdened, held by the hush of night. The hours move quietly through the dark, uncounted, unnoticed. The moon begins its slow descent beyond the towers, casting pale light that shifts across the floor. He remains wrapped in steady sleep, breathing deep even. Untroubled, the chamber holds him gently. Stone walls cool and protective, the blanket warm and familiar. Outside, the keeper's soft wind brushes along the outer gate. Wood creaks faintly, then stills again. A distant dog barks once, then silence returns. Within his dream, the fields grow brighter, morning light spreading across open land. He walks without weight, without armor, feeling grass beneath his feet, dew cool against his skin. There is no urgency in his steps, only ease. The dream does not rush. It unfolds slowly, like dawn itself. And even as sleep begins to lighten, as the first pale hint of morning gathers once more beyond the shutters he carries, with him the quiet lesson of the night, that strength is not constant tension, not endless readiness, but a rhythm of wearing and releasing, of standing tall, and then laying it down. The knight who laid down his armor will rise again soon, but for now he rests, balanced between darkness and dawn, held gently in the final calm moments before waking. A faint silver light begins to gather along the edge of the shutters. Not bright, not demanding, just a quiet signal that night is loosening its hold. He stirs gently beneath the blanket, breath shifting deep, then slightly lighter. The dream of open fields fades slowly, like mist rising from cool grass. His fingers move once, then settle again. Stone walls catch the earliest hint of dawn. Soft grey, touching rough surfaces. Chamber feels peaceful, complete. He inhales slowly, filling his lungs with the calm air of early morning, and exhales with ease. There is no tension waiting in his muscles, no ache from yesterday's weight, because he allowed himself to rest, to release, to become simply human in the quiet dark. He opens his eyes just slightly, enough to sense the growing light, enough to feel the stillness of the room. The armor stands where he placed. It's silent, patient. It does not press upon him from across the chamber. It only waits, as tools do, as objects meant to serve. He remains on the bed a little longer, listening to the first distant sounds of waking life. A bird calling, a door opening somewhere below, the soft stir of morning beginning. And in that peaceful pause he understands again that each day will ask for strength, but each night will return it through firelight, through linen, through the sacred act of laying it down, young. A pale ribbon of dawn slips quietly through the shutters. Soft grey light touching the stone walls, he stirs beneath the blanket, not suddenly, but gently, as though waking from water that held him safely. His breathing shifts, still slow, still calm. The dream of open fields fades without resistance, like mist dissolving under early sun. He remains lying there, eyes closed, listening to the quiet beginning of another day. Somewhere below door opens, wood brushing softly against stone. A bird calls once in the distance, clear and simple. The keep is waking, but it does not demand him yet. He opens his eyes slowly, blinking against the growing light. The room looks peaceful in the pale morning glow. Armor stands where it was placed, helmet beside gauntlets, chest plate resting upright. Still unmoving, it does not feel heavy from across the room, because it is not upon him not. Yet he stretches one arm above his head, feeling the ease in his shoulders, the freedom in his chest. No strap pressing, no steel confining, only linen against skin, only breath moving freely. He turns slightly, letting his feet reach the edge of the bed, but he does not stand, not immediately. Instead, he inhales deeply, cool dawn air filling his lungs, and exhales slowly, holding on to the calm of the night, knowing that when he rises, when he lifts the armor once more, he will do so balanced because he understands the rhythm. To wear and to release, to serve and to rest. He lets his feet touch the cool stone floor. The chill rises gently through his skin, grounding him fully in the present moment. He sits upright on the edge of the bed, back straight, breath steady, morning light now wider. Across the chamber, soft silver turning slowly to pale gold. He runs a hand across his face. Awake, clear-rested. There is no heaviness in his thoughts, no lingering fog, because the night carried it away. He stands slowly, rolling his shoulders once, feeling the quiet strength within them, not hardened, not tense, simply ready. He walks toward the basin, pouring fresh water from the clay pitcher, the stream steady, transparent. He cups it in, his hands splashing it across his face. The coolness sharp but kind. Droplets fall quietly against stone. He exhales a calm beginning. He turns toward the window, opening the shutters wider. Morning air flows in, carrying the scent of dew-touched grass and distant wood smoke. The courtyard below glows with early light, servants moving calmly, a horse being led toward the gate. No rush, no alarm. He glances once more at the armor resting nearby, and there is no resistance within him, because he knows when evening returns, so will firelight, so will linen, so will that gentle sacred moment when steel is set aside again, and he breathes freely. He turns from the window and approaches the armor stand. Sunlight now touches the curve of the chest plate, a quiet shine across worn steel. He rests his hand upon it, feeling the cool surface beneath his palm. Not as a burden, but as a companion to the day. He lifts the linen tunic first, pulling it over his shoulders. The fabric settles naturally. Soft against skin, he fastens it calmly, one tie at a time. Then he reaches for the chest plate, raising it carefully, positioning it against his torso. The familiar weight returns, but it does not overwhelm, because rest still lingers within him. He secures each strap slowly, breathing evenly, testing the balance. Shoulder plates follow, resting firm but comfortable. He flexes his arms once, feeling strength beneath steel, measured, controlled. He lifts the helmet last, holding it for a moment before placing it gently upon his head. The world narrows slightly, sound softened, light framed, yet inside he remains unchanged. He steps toward the door, hand resting on the wood, pausing for one final breath. Inhale, calm, exhale, steady. Then he opens it, walking into the corridor once more, not driven by legend, not hardened by duty, but guided by rhythm, to wear, to serve, and when night falls again, to lay it down. The corridor greets him with quiet morning movement. Soft footsteps echo against stone. A servant carries folded cloth past him, nodding politely. He returns the gesture with calm ease, descending the spiral staircase. He feels the steady weight of armor settle naturally along his frame. Not pressing, not sharp, balanced. The air grows warmer as he reaches the lower hall. Sunlight pours through narrow windows, casting long pale beams across. The floor dust drifts lazily within that light, turning and floating without urgency. He crosses the hall and steps into the courtyard. The day has fully awakened now. Voices rise gently in conversation. Wood splits with the clean strike of an axe. Water splashes as buckets are drawn from the well. Everything moves in simple rhythm. He walks toward the gate, helmet catching a glint of sun. Yet inside he remains quiet, steady. The memory of firelight from the night before remains like a hidden warmth, a reminder beneath steel. That armor is only worn for a time. He pauses beside the outer wall, looking across the open fields, once more green and gold beneath. The brightening sky. The wind brushes against him, cool against metal, gentle against thought. He rests his gloved hand upon the stone, feeling its strength, its endurance, and he understands that even the strongest walls, even the hardest steel, require moments of stillness, moments of release to remain whole. So he turns back toward the tasks of the day, carrying within him that quiet, sacred balance. The sun climbs steadily above the towers, light spreading across the courtyard stones. He walks along the inner wall, checking the hinges of the gate, listening to the low hum of daily life. A blacksmith's hammer rings in. The distance measured strikes, even patient. He pauses near the forge, watching sparks rise and fade, brief flashes of brightness gone in an instant. The blacksmith nods without stopping his work. Heat from the forge rolls outward. Warm against the morning air, he feels the contrast. Fire's intensity and the quiet cool beneath his armor. Strength takes many forms. Some loud, some silent. He continues along the path, boots steady on packed. Earth passing the training yard once more, where young squires practice in careful repetition. Their movements sharper now, more certain. He offers a brief word of guidance, low and calm, then steps aside, allowing them space to grow. The breeze carries the scent of cut wood and distant fields. He lifts his visor slightly, letting air touch his face, breathing in the fullness of the day. There is no looming shadow, no call to defend, only the steady unfolding of time. He feels neither hurried nor idle, simply present, steel guarding the outside, peace guarding the inside. And somewhere beyond the bright blue sky, he knows evening waits patiently, with its firelight, its linen, its gentle return to stillness. Midday settles over the keep with quiet confidence, the sky wide and clear above the towers. He moves through the courtyard at an easy pace, stopping where small repairs are being made, a loose stone reset, a wooden beam reinforced. He listens more than he speaks, nodding when needed, offering guidance in a low, steady tone. The armor shifts lightly with each movement, but it does not weigh upon him, because his breath remains deep, unforced. A child runs past, chasing a wooden hoop. Laughter bright and brief, he watches the motion with calm eyes, remembering how light steps once felt without steel. There is no longing in the memory, only awareness that every roll carries its own rhythm. He steps toward the shade near the well, resting a hand against the cool stone. The sun warms the top of his helmet, yet inside he feels steady. Balanced between heat and calm, a breeze rises, again turning banners slowly against the sky fabric, whispering as it moves. He lifts his visor just enough, allowing fresh air to pass across his face. Inhale, slow, exhale, even slower. The day continues in ordinary. Patterns, voices rise and fall, tools strike and settle, life unfolding without urgency. And beneath the steel he wears, there remains a quiet ember, left from last night's fire, a reminder that when the sun lowers, when shadows grow long once more, he will return to that chamber, to linen, to stillness, and lay it down again. The afternoon begins to soften, sunlight no longer sharp, but warm and steady. He walks the length of the outer wall, looking across the distant fields. Crops sway gently beneath the breeze, golden and green beneath the wide sky. There is no movement of concern, no rider approaching in haste, only farmers tending rows, small figures moving with patient purpose. He rests both hands upon the stone, feeling its cool firmness beneath his gloves. The wall stands because it was built slowly, stone upon stone, carefully placed, just as strength within him was built. Day by day, through effort, through rest, a bell rings faintly from within the keep, marking the passing hour. The sound carries softly, not urgent, only a reminder that time moves forward. He descends the stair from the wall, returning to the courtyard below, where shadows have begun to lengthen. Lanterns will soon be. Prepared wood gathered for evening fires. He removes his helmet briefly, holding it at his side, letting the air touch his brow. He inhales deeply, the scent of sun-warmed earth filling his lungs. Another breath follows, slower, more grounded. He knows the pattern now: morning effort, afternoon watch, evening release, steel worn with balance, then set aside with care. And as the light begins to shift toward dusk, he turns once more, carrying both strength and the promise of rest within him. The sky begins to change, blue deepening into warmer shades, amber light brushing the tops of stone towers. He walks slowly through the courtyard, feeling the shift in the air. Cooler now, gentler servants move with quieter steps, preparing lanterns, stacking wood near doorways. The rhythm of the day softens like a breath slowly released. He pauses near the well again, watching as a bucket rises from the dark water, drops falling back, with soft echoes. Each sound clear, unhurried. He removes his helmet once more, holding it at his side. Evening breeze touches his face, carrying the scent of cooking fires and distant fields settling for the night. The armor has done its work. It has guarded, it has served, but he feels its weight more clearly now, not painful, just present, a reminder that it is time he walks toward the stair leading to his chamber. Boots steady on worn stone, the courtyard growing dim behind him. Above the first star appears. Faint but certain, he climbs without haste. Each step measured, each breath calm, knowing what waits beyond the wooden door. Not battle, not command, but firelight, soft linen, and the sacred quiet of laying it down again. He reaches his chamber as twilight deepens. The corridor behind him quiet, lantern light flickering softly along the stone. He closes the door with a gentle push, the room already touched by the glow of a waiting hearth. A small flame rising steadily from fresh wood. He stands still for a moment, letting the silence settle around him, breathing slow, deep. Even then his hands move to the helmet, lifting it upon the table. The sound of metal resting on wood, calm and familiar. Cool air brushes across his hair, across his brow. Relief arrives without drama. Only a quiet easing. He loosens the straps at his shoulders. One buckle at a time, leather slipping free. The weight shifts. Growing lighter, the chest plate lifts away. Held firmly in both hands, placed gently upon its stand. Gauntlets follow, boots removed. Each piece laid down with care, because it has carried him through the day. Underneath remains simple linen. Warm, unrestricted. He steps closer to the fire, watching the flames rise and curl. Amber light, painting the walls, his shoulders lower naturally. Breath deepening. The day dissolving like smoke into night. Outside the sky darkens fully, stars gathering above the keep. Inside this quiet chamber he stands unarmored once more, not weakened, but restored. And as the fire crackles softly, he feels that sacred balance return. Steel released, human breath reclaimed. He moves toward the basin, pouring cool water into the shallow bowl. The stream clear and steady. He washes his hands slowly, rubbing away the dust of the yard. The warmth of the sun, the faint scent of iron droplets fall, in soft rhythm, echoing gently against stone. He splashes water across his face, letting it trail down his neck, the coolness refreshing. Honest, he exhales a long, steady breath. The chamber feels warmer now. Firelight, steady shadows moving slowly across the walls. He changes from linen into a softer nightshirt, light cloth falling easily against his skin. No straps, no clasps, only fabric that moves with him. He gathers the armor, pieces once more, checking each buckle, each strap, not with urgency, but with quiet care. Then he sets them in their place, where they will wait until dawn. He opens the window, slightly night air flows in, carrying the scent of damp grass and distant wood smoke from village homes. Crickets begin their soft chorus, a gentle, constant rhythm beneath the stars. He listens, letting the sound wash over him. There is no call from below, no raised voice, only peace. He sits upon the edge of his bed, firelight reflecting in his calm eyes, and he feels it again, that gentle release, the sacred easing of shoulders, the quiet truth that steel may protect the body, but stillness restores the heart. He lowers himself onto the bed slowly, the mattress yielding beneath his weight, straw rustling softly inside its cloth cover. He pulls the wool blanket across his chest, feeling its warmth settle around him. The fire has begun to soften, flames shrinking into steady glowing embers, their light low and calming. He turns slightly onto his side, resting his head against the pillow, breathing deep, even unforced. Outside the window the night is full, stars bright against a clear, dark sky. A breeze moves gently along the tower walls, carrying the quiet murmur of distant fields. He closes his eyes halfway, listening to the rhythm of the crickets, to the faint crackle of wood turning to ember. Each sound small, each sound steady. The day loosens its final hold. Moments drift through his thoughts. Sunlight in the courtyard, the sound of practice steel, children's laughter near the well. They pass gently, without weight, without urgency. He places one hand over his chest, feeling the calm beat beneath linen. Alive, balanced, restored, sleep approaches once more, not as escape, but as renewal, like a soft cloak drawn across tired shoulders. And in the hush of the glowing hearth, the knight who laid down his armor lays down the day again, drifting into deep earned rest. The embers glow like quiet stars within the hearth, soft red light rising and falling. He lies still, breath slow, steady, the blanket warm against his chest. Outside the tower the wind shifts gently, moving through distant trees, leaves whispering in low, steady tones. He sinks deeper into the mattress, shoulders loose, jaw relaxed, the weight of the day completely released. His thoughts move slower now, like clouds drifting across an endless sky. No sharp edges, no urgent calls, only softness. In his dream he walks once more along the outer wall, but there is no armor upon him, no sword at his side, only the cool night air brushing his skin. The fields stretch, wide beneath moonlight, silver and calm. He steps down from the wall, crossing the courtyard barefoot, feeling stone cool beneath his feet. The well reflects the moon above, clear and steady. He leans over its edge, seeing himself not as warrior, not as legend, but as a man, breathing alive, whole. The dream shifts again. Now he stands before a quiet hearth, flames rising. Gently, the same warmth, the same stillness, and even in sleep, understands that strength is not in constant readiness, but in the rhythm, to wear and to release, to stand tall and then to rest. And in that understanding, he drifts deeper still, held safely in the quiet of night. Night deepens around the tower. The last ember fades into a softer red, barely lighting the edges of stone. Yet the darkness is not empty. It is full of quiet, full of protection. He remains wrapped in steady sleep, breathing long and slow, the rise and fall of his chest gentle beneath the blanket. Outside the keep, the world moves in hushed patterns. Clouds drift across the face of the moon. Shadows shift along the outer walls. A distant owl glides between trees, wings silent, precise. Within his dream the courtyard appears again, but now it is bathed in silver mist. Lanterns glow faintly without flame. The air cool and still. He walks across the stones without sound. Unarmored, unhurried. There is no call to defend, no command to obey, only open space and calm breath. He pauses at the center of the courtyard, feeling the stillness settle deep within him. The well, water mirrors the stars. Above endless quiet, he sees not a night shaped by duty, but a man shaped by rhythm, work and rest. Strength and softness, the dream carries him further, across fields touched by moonlight, grass, bending gently beneath invisible wind. And even as the night prepares to turn once more toward dawn, his heart remains steady, because he has learned the balance to carry steel when needed, and to lay it down when the day is done. And in that sacred knowing, he sleeps deep, restored, whole. The night holds its final quiet hours, deep and undisturbed. The tower stands against the dark sky, stone unmoving. Certain, inside the chamber, he sleeps without tension, hands relaxed, breath flowing evenly. The blanket, tucked loosely around his shoulders. Outside, the first faint hint of morning gathers beyond the horizon. Not yet light, but a soft thinning of the dark. The stars begin to fade one by one, as though gently retreating. His dream shifts once more. Now he walks along a narrow path between tall grasses, each blade touched with silver dew, the air cool, fresh. He feels the ground beneath his feet, firm and steady. There is no armor waiting ahead, no weight resting upon his shoulders, only the open sky slowly brightening. He inhales deeply within the dream, feeling a quiet strength rise within him, not from steel, not from command, but from stillness, from the simple act of allowing himself to rest. The path leads him toward the keep, its towers soft against the pale sky. Peaceful, unthreatened, he understands that soon he will wake, soon he will stand, soon he will wear the armor again. But he also knows night will return, firelight will glow, and steel will once more be set aside. This rhythm comforts him like a steady drum beneath all day's work. Release, stand, rest, and as dawn prepares to rise fully, he remains wrapped in that final, gentle layer of sleep, balanced between darkness and light. A pale wash of light begins to gather along the edge of the shutters, soft grey turning slowly towards silver. The chamber remains quiet, held in the final calm breath before morning. He stirs gently beneath the blanket, not waking all at once, but rising slowly from the depth of sleep. His breathing shifts, still steady, still calm. The dream of dew-touched grass fades like mist under early light. He lies still for a moment, eyes closed. Listening, a distant bird calls once clear and simple. Somewhere below a door opens, wood brushing softly against stone. The keep begins its quiet return to life. He opens his eyes gradually, blinking against the growing light. The room appears peaceful in dawn's gentle glow. Armor stands where it was placed the night before. Helmet beside gauntlets, chestplate resting upright. Patient silent, it does not press upon him from across the chamber. Because it is not yet worn, he stretches one arm above his head, feeling ease in his shoulders, freedom in his chest, no strap tightening, no weight settling, only linen against skin. He inhales deeply. Cool morning air filling his lungs, and exhales slowly, holding on to the calm that night restored. Soon he will rise. Soon he will dress. Soon steel will rest upon him once more. But for this lingering moment he remains still, balanced between rest and readiness, between softness and strength. And in that quiet pause he remembers the sacred rhythm to wear and to lay down. He lets his feet slide slowly to the edge of the bed, toes touching the cool stone floor. The chill rises gently through him, awakening without shock. Grounding him in the quiet present, he sits upright, back straight, breath steady, morning light now wider across the chamber, soft gold beginning to replace silver. He runs a hand through his hair, feeling the ease in his body, the absence of strain, because the night has done its quiet work. He stands rolling his shoulders once, testing the calm strength beneath his skin. No stiffness greets him, only readiness shaped by rest. He walks toward the basin, pouring fresh water, the stream clear, pure. He cups it in his hands, splashing it across his face. The coolness, bright yet gentle, droplets fall back into stone. Small echoes in the silent room. He exhales, fully awake now. He opens the shutters a little wider. Morning air flows in, carrying the scent of damp earth, of dew resting on grass. Below in the courtyard, figures move at an easy pace. A stable door opens, a bucket lowers into the well. Life beginning again. He turns toward the armor. Stand looking at the steel resting in pale light. It waits, as it always does. Not demanding, only ready. He knows he will lift it soon. Secure it carefully. Walk into the day. But because he rested, because he laid it down, he will wear it differently. With balance, with breath, with the quiet knowledge that evening will come again, and steel will return to wood. He steps towards the armor stand with steady, calm sunlight now brushing the curve of polished steel. He places one hand upon the chest plate, feeling the cool surface beneath his palm. It is solid, reliable, but no longer intimidating. He lifts the linen tunic first, drawing it over his shoulders, the cloth settling softly against his skin. Light, breathable, honest. Then he raises the chest plate, positioning it carefully against his torso. The familiar weight returns, resting along his frame. Balanced, not heavy, he fastens each strap slowly, one buckle, then another, breathing evenly between each movement. The leather holds firm, but does not constrict, rolls his shoulders once. testing the fit's strength beneath steel, calm beneath strength. The shoulder plates follow, secured with quiet precision, boots laced steadily, gauntlets drawn over his hands, each piece placed with intention, not rushed, not forced. At last he lifts the helmet, holding it for a moment in both hands. Morning light reflecting along its edge, he inhales deeply, feeling the quiet rhythm within him, then lowers it gently into place. The world narrows slightly, sound softened, light framed, yet his breath remains steady, unchanged. He turns toward the door, hand resting upon the wood, pausing for a final calm breath. Inhale, steady, grounded. Then he steps out into the corridor, carrying both steel and the memory of stillness, knowing the rhythm will continue to wear, to serve, and when night returns, to lay it down once more. The corridor feels brighter this morning, sunlight streaming through narrow windows, touching the stone with pale warmth. He descends the spiral stairs at an even pace, boots meeting each step with quiet certainty. The armor settles naturally along his frame, not dragging, not pressing. Balanced by the rest he allowed himself, as he reaches the lower hall, the sounds of the keep rise gently around him, voices exchanging morning greetings. Wood being stacked near the hearth, a broom brushing softly against the floor. Nothing sharp, nothing hurried. He steps into the courtyard, the sky wide and clear above the towers, blue stretching endlessly. The breeze moves across open space, turning banners in slow, steady motion. He lifts his visor slightly, letting fresh air touch his face. Breathing in deeply, the scent of dew fading beneath growing warmth. He walks toward the outer gate, nodding to the watch station there, their armor catching small flashes of sunlight, yet their expressions calm. Ordinary, he rests a gloved hand upon the stone wall, looking across the distant fields. Farmers, already at work, moving with patient rhythm. The world does not demand spectacle. It simply unfolds one quiet hour at a time. And within him, beneath the steel, there remains that ember of firelight, that memory of linen, that sacred pause before sleep. It steadies his steps, softens his movements, reminding him that strength is not constant tension, but a living rhythm, to stand, to serve, and when the sun falls, to return and lay it down. Again. The morning stretches gently into late-day sunlight, warming the courtyard stones. He walks the length of the inner wall once more, observing without strain. A cart enters through the gate, wood wheels turning in slow rhythm. The driver nods respectfully as he passes. He returns the nod, calm, unhurried. Children gather near the well again, their laughter bright yet soft, carried lightly by the breeze. He watches them for a moment, not as a distant guardian, but as someone who understands that life moves in simple circles. Work and play, effort and ease. The blacksmith's hammer rings from the far corner, metal shaped by steady hands, sparks rising briefly, before fading. The sound blends into the rhythm of the keep measured. Even he pauses beneath the shade of the tower, resting a hand against the cool stone, feeling its strength. Its quiet endurance armor rests upon him. Securely, yet his breath remains free, unforced. Because he knows this weight is temporary, the sun begins to lean westward. Light softening once more, shadows lengthening across the ground. He lifts his visor slightly, letting cooler air brush his face. Inhale, slow, exhale longer. The pattern of the day continues, steady and predictable, and within that steady flow he carries the promise of evening, of firelight returning, of linen, against skin, of the sacred quiet, when steel meets wood, and rest claims him once again. The afternoon slowly begins to fade. The bright blue of the sky softening toward warmer tones, he walks across the courtyard with steady steps, feeling the shift in the air. Cooler now. Gentler lanterns are prepared along, the walls, wicks trimmed carefully. Waiting for flame, he pauses near the training yard, where practice has ended. Wooden swords stacked neatly, dust settling back to earth. Silence replacing the earlier clang of steel. He rests both hands on the top of the low fence, looking across the open space. Breathing in, breathing out. The armor feels present now. Not heavy, but noticeable. A quiet reminder that the day has been worn fully. He lifts, his visor once more, allowing evening breeze to touch his face. It carries the scent of cooking fires, of bread warming, of distant grass cooling beneath shadow. A single star appears above the western tower. Faint, certain. He watches it for a moment, knowing what follows. Stone stairs, a wooden door, firelight blooming softly in the hearth, the careful unfastening of straps, the quiet resting of steel upon wood. The release, he turns. From the yard, walking toward the stair that leads to his chamber. Boots, steady breath calm. The courtyard dimming behind him, the rhythm continues. Morning effort, afternoon watch, evening surrender, and in that steady circle, he finds peace, because strength is not endless tension. It is balance. It is the sacred act of laying it down. Twilight gathers gently around the keep, the sky deepening into shades of amber and blue. He climbs the stone stairs at an unhurried pace, each step familiar beneath his boots. The sounds of the courtyard fade behind him, voices softening, lanterns flickering to life. At the top of the stair he pauses, breathing in the cool evening air. Then he enters his chamber. The hearth has already been prepared, a small flame rising steadily from fresh wood. Warm light spreads across the stone walls. Welcoming calm, he closes the door softly, letting the outside world rest beyond it. His hands move to the helmet first, lifting it carefully, setting it upon the table. The sound of metal touching wood low and steady. Air brushes against his face. Relief unfolding slowly, he loosens the straps at his shoulders. One by one, leather slipping free. The weight shifts, growing lighter, the chest. Plate comes away held with both hands, placed gently upon its stand, gauntlets removed, boots unlaced, each piece resting neatly in its place. Underneath remains simple linen, warm from the day. Free, he steps closer to them. Hearth. Watching flames rise and curl, amber light soft against his features. His shoulders lower naturally. Breath deepening. The day dissolving like smoke into night. Outside, stars gather above the quiet towers. Inside, the chamber, he stands unarmored once more, not weakened, but restored. And as the fire crackles softly, he feels that sacred rhythm continue, to wear, to serve, and to lay it down again. He moves quietly toward the basin, pouring cool water into the shallow bowl, the sound steady. Unrushed, he washes his hands slowly, rubbing away the dust of the yard. The faint scent of iron, the warmth of the sun, droplets, fall in gentle rhythm, echoing softly in the chamber. He splashes water across his face, letting it trail down his neck. The coolness, soothing, honest. He exhales long and steady. The fire behind him settles into glowing embers. Light dimmer now, softer. He changes from linen into a lighter nightshirt. Fabric falling easily across his shoulders. No clasps, no buckles. Only cloth that moves with breath. He gathers the armor once more, checking straps, straightening gauntlets, placing each piece with care, not rushed, not careless, because Steele deserves rest as well. He opens the window slightly. Night air flows in, carrying the scent of damp earth, and, distant village hearths, crickets begin their steady chorus. A gentle pulse beneath the stars, he listens, letting the sound settle into him. There is no call from below, no urgent knock at the door, only peace he sits upon, the edge of the bed firelight flickering faintly across the walls, and he feels it again, that quiet easing, that sacred release when strength is set aside and breath becomes the only weight he carries. The chamber grows darker as the embers fade. Only a faint red glow remains, barely touching the stone walls. He lies still beneath the blanket, breathing slow, steady. The night wraps around the tower, cool and protective. Outside, the wind moves softly through distant trees, leaves brushing together in quiet whispers. He sinks deeper into sleep, shoulders loose, hands relaxed, the weight of the day fully gone. In his dream he walks again, through the courtyard. But it is empty, bathed in silver moonlight. No armor stand waits near the wall. No sword rests in shadow. Only open space and calm air. He crosses the stones barefoot, feeling each cool surface. Beneath his feet, the well stands at the center, water still and clear, reflecting the stars above. He leans over its edge, seeing his reflection, not shaped by steel, not framed by duty, but simple human breathing alive. Dream carries him beyond the gate, across fields shimmering in pale light, grass bending gently beneath the breeze. There is no call to defend, no trumpet in the distance, only stillness, only rhythm. And even as sleep deepens further, he understands that strength does not live in armor alone. It lives in balance, in the sacred circle, to wear, to release, to stand and to rest. And in that quiet knowing, he drifts deeper into peaceful night. The night continues its quiet watch over the tower. Hours pass without measure, without disturbance. The sky above shifts slowly, stars turning in patient arcs. He remains wrapped in steady sleep, breathing deep, unbroken, the blanket warm around his shoulders, the chamber calm and still. Outside, the first faint thinning of darkness begins far beyond the horizon. Not yet light, but a gentle easing of shadow. In his dream he stands once more. Upon the outer wall, fields stretching endlessly before him, silver beneath fading moonlight. He feels no weight upon his shoulders in the dream, no steel pressing against his chest, only open air moving freely around him. The horizon begins to glow with the faintest hint of dawn, a pale silver line separating earth from sky. He inhales deeply, and the air feels cool, fresh, untouched by effort. He steps down from the wall, walking slowly, across the quiet courtyard. The stones beneath his feet, smooth and familiar. There is no sound of armor shifting, no echo of boots, only the gentle whisper of early wind. Lanterns along the walls burn low, their flames small and patient. Soon they will fade with the coming light. He pauses at the center of the courtyard, looking upward, stars dimming one by one, replaced by a widening glow. And within this dream, he understands once more that each day will bring weight and each night will carry it away. That strength is not constant readiness, but a rhythm that flows like breath. Inhale, wear, exhale, release. The dream softens edges, blurring gently as the first true light of morning begins to gather beyond the shutters. His body remains still upon the bed, breath steady. Calm, the chamber holds him in its final moments of night, balanced between darkness and dawn. And soon he will wake. But for now he rests, wrapped in the quiet promise that steel can always be laid down again. A faint wash of morning light slips through the shutters, soft grey spreading slowly across the stone floor. He stirs gently beneath the blanket, not suddenly, not sharply, but with the calm rise of breath returning from deep sleep. The dream of the silver courtyard fades like mist, leaving only a quiet sense of balance. He lies still for a moment, eyes closed, listening. A bird calls outside, clear and steady. Somewhere below a door opens. Wood brushing against stone, the keep begins to wake, but it does not rush him. He inhales deeply, filling his lungs with cool dawn air, and exhales slowly, letting the last thread of sleep drift away. His fingers move lightly against the blanket, feeling wool beneath his touch. Real grounding, he opens his eyes gradually, blinking into the soft growing light. The chamber appears peaceful, armor standing where it rests, helmet beside, gauntlets, chest plate upright and patient. Waiting without demand, he stretches one arm above his head, then the other, feeling ease in his shoulders, freedom in his chest. Because the night has restored him again, he turns, slightly, letting his feet reach the edge of the bed, stone cool beneath his skin. And before he rises, before he lifts steel once more, he pauses, breathing slowly, remembering the sacred rhythm that carries him through. Each day, to wear, to serve, and when darkness falls, to lay it down. He lets his feet rest on the cool stone floor, feeling the gentle chill travel upward, awakening him fully. He sits upright at the edge of the bed, back straight, breath steady. Morning light grows warmer, soft gold. Replacing pale grey, he rubs his palms together slowly, sensing the calm strength in his hands. No ache remains from yesterday, no lingering tension, because rest has done its quiet work. He stands and walks toward the basin, pouring fresh water from the clay pitcher, the sound steady and clean. He cups the water in his hands, lifting it to his face. The cool splash, sharp yet kind, droplets fall softly back into stone. He exhales, clear, minded, present. He opens the shutters wider, letting morning air flow freely into the chamber. The scent of dew-touched grass rises from below, along with faint wood smoke from early fires. In the courtyard, figures move. At an easy pace, a stable door creaks. A bucket lowers into the well. Life beginning once more, he turns his gaze toward the armor, standing where it waits. Silent, patient, he knows he will lift it soon. Secure each strap. Walk into the rhythm of the day. But because he understands the balance, because he has laid it down night after night, he will wear it without losing himself. He inhales deeply, and in that quiet breath he feels ready. Not hardened, not burdened, but steady, guided by the simple, sacred cycle of strength and rest. He steps toward the armor stand with measured calm morning light, tracing the curve of polished steel. He rests his hand upon the chest plate, feeling its cool firmness beneath his palm. It does not feel heavy from a distance. Only present, waiting, he lifts the linen tunic first, drawing it over his shoulders, the fabric settling softly against his skin. Light and breathable, a gentle layer before steel. He raises the chest plate, carefully positioning it against his torso. The weight returns, familiar, balanced. He fastens the straps slowly, one buckle, then another, breathing evenly between each movement. The leather tightens securely, but does not constrict. He rolls his shoulders once, testing the fit strength beneath calm. The shoulder plates follow, resting firm along his frame. Boots laced with steady hands, gauntlets drawn on with quiet precision. At last he lifts the helmet, holding it before him for a moment, morning sun reflecting along its edge. He inhales deeply, feeling the rhythm within his chest, then lowers it gently into place. The world narrows slightly. Sound. Softened light framed, yet his breath remains slow. Untroubled, he turns toward the door, pausing once more, hand resting against wood. Inhale, steady, exhale, grounded. Then he steps into the corridor, carrying steel upon his shoulders and stillness within his heart, knowing that when night returns, he will lay it down again. The corridor greets him with soft morning echoes, footsteps passing, voices low and measured. He descends the spiral stair without haste, boots touching each worn step in steady rhythm. The armor settles naturally along, his frame not dragging, not tight, balanced by the calm he carries within. As he reaches the lower hall, sunlight spills through narrow windows, casting long, pale beams across stone dust, drifting lazily through the light. Turning without urgency, he steps into the courtyard, the sky wide and clear above the towers, blue stretching endlessly. A gentle breeze turns the hanging banners, fabric whispering softly, letting fresh air brush against his face. Breathing in deeply, the scent of dew fading beneath rising warmth. He walks toward the outer gate, nodding to the watch stationed there, their armor catching brief flashes of sunlight, yet their expressions calm. Ordinary, he rests a gloved hand upon the stone wall, looking across distant fields. Farmers already at work, moving in patient lines. The world does not call for spectacle. It unfolds, quietly, hour by hour. And beneath the steel he wears, there remains that steady ember, born from firelight, from linen, from rest. It guides his steps, softens his movements, reminding him again that strength is not constant. Tension, but a living rhythm. To stand, to serve, and when dusk falls, to lay it down. The morning settles into its steady rhythm, sunlight warming the stones beneath his boots. He walks along the inner wall once more, observing quietly. A mason resets a loose stone near the western tower, each careful tap measured. Patient, the sound blends into the hum of the keep. He pauses to watch strength built slowly, stone placed upon stone, much like the strength within him, layered through effort, renewed through rest. Further along, the courtyard children gather near the well again, their laughter light carried gently by the breeze. He allows himself a brief still moment, listening, feeling the ordinary life that moves around him. He adjusts a strap along his shoulder, not because it weighs too much, but to ensure balance. The armor rests evenly, supported by calm breath beneath it. He lifts his visor once more, letting air pass across his brow. Inhale, slow, exhale. Longer the sun climbs higher, casting short shadows, lanterns extinguished until evening. The day stretches forward without threat, without urgency. He continues his quiet watch, not expecting alarm, only present, only steady. Because when dusk returns, when shadows lengthen once more, there will be stone stairs, a wooden door, firelight blooming softly, and the sacred easing of straps, steel meeting wood. Breath unguarded. Again. And that promise carries him gently through the day. Midday light settles fully over the keep, bright yet calm. He moves through the courtyard with unhurried steps, stopping near the training yard, where young squires repeat their drills, steel meeting wood in careful rhythm. He watches quietly, offering a small correction, a gentle nod, his voice low and steady. Never raised, the armor shifts lightly with each movement, yet it does not burden him because his breath remains deep, measured. He steps away from the yard, walking toward the shade along the wall, ivy climbing between stone cracks. Leaves rustling softly, he rests a hand against the cool surface, feeling its firmness, its endurance beyond the gate. The fields sway beneath the breeze, golden lines moving in patient waves. The world beyond remains peaceful, unthreatened. He lifts his visor slightly, letting fresh air brush his face. Inhale, full exhale. Even the day continues its quiet unfolding. Voices rise and fade. Footsteps pass. Tools strike and settle. Nothing sharp, nothing urgent. He feels the steady rhythm within his chest, matching the rhythm of the keep. And beneath the steel there remains the quiet ember of last night, a reminder that strength does not harden the heart. It flows like breath, like light, like the circle of day into dusk. And when evening falls again, he will climb those stone steps and lay it down once more. The afternoon begins its gentle descent, sunlight softening from bright gold to warmer tones. He walks the outer path along the wall, looking across the open land. Farmers guide their tools through soil, movement steady and unhurried. No rider approaches in haste, no signal flags rise. Only ordinary life unfolding. He rests both hands upon the stone, feeling its cool strength beneath his gloves. The wall stands because it was built with patience, stone upon stone, carefully placed, just as his own balance was built day after day, through effort, through surrender. A bell sounds faintly from within the keep, marking the passing hour. The tone low, gentle. Carried by the breeze, he descends the narrow stair, returning to the courtyard. Shadows beginning to lengthen across the ground, lanterns prepared once more along the walls. Waiting for flame, he removes his helmet, briefly, holding it at his side, letting evening air touch his face. Breathing deeply, cool, steady, he feels the weight of armor more clearly now. Not heavy, only complete, a day worn fully, a duty carried with calm. The sky shifts toward amber edges of cloud glowing softly. He looks upward, watching the first hint of a star appear, and he knows what follows: stone stairs, a wooden door, firelight waiting, straps loosening, steel resting once. More. And as he turns toward the tower, he carries within him that sacred understanding. Strength is not endless strain. It is the circle to stand, to serve, and to lay it down again. Dusk settles slowly over the keep, the sky deepening into shades of amber and quiet blue. He crosses the courtyard with measured steps, lanterns flickering to life along the walls, soft light blooming against stone. Voices grow lower, movements gentler, the rhythm of the day easing toward rest. He pauses near the well once more, watching the final bucket rise from the dark water, droplets falling back with soft echoes. Each sound steady. Unhurried, he lifts his helmet from his head, holding it at his side, evening air cool against his brow, carrying the scent of cooking fires and distant grass settling for the night. The armor has done its work. It has guarded, it has served, and now it feels ready to be set aside. He turns toward the stair that leads to his chamber, boots steady against worn stone, the courtyard dimming behind him. Above, stars gather patiently. One by one he climbs without haste, each step familiar, each breath calm, knowing what waits beyond the wooden door. Not battle, not command, but firelight, soft linen, and the sacred quiet of laying it down once more. He reaches his chamber as night fully settles, lantern light flickering softly in the corridor behind him. He closes the door with a gentle push. The room welcomes him with the glow of awaiting hearth flames rising, calmly from stacked wood amber light stretching across the stone walls. He stands still for a moment, breathing slow, deep, letting the outside world rest beyond the door. His hands rise to the helmet first, lifting it, carefully setting it upon the table, the sound of metal against wood, low and familiar. Cool air brushes across his face, relief unfolding quietly. He loosens the straps at his shoulders, one by one, leather slipping free. The weight shifts, lightening. The chest plate lifts away. Held steady, placed gently upon its stand. Gauntlets removed. Boots unlaced, each piece resting neatly in its place. Underneath remains simple linen, warm, unrestricted. He steps closer to the hearth, watching the flames curl and stretch, their glow soft against his features. His shoulders lower, breath deepens, the day dissolving like smoke into darkness. Outside, the stars shine steadily above the keep. Inside the chamber he stands, unarmored once more, not weakened, but restored. And as the fire crackles gently, he feels that sacred rhythm continue, to where to serve and to lay it down again. He moves toward the basin with quiet steps, pouring cool water into the shallow bowl, the stream steady. Clear, he washes his hands slowly, rubbing away the dust of the yard, the warmth of the sun, the faint scent of iron. Droplets fall softly against stone, echoing in gentle rhythm. He lifts water to his face, letting it trail down his cheeks. Across his neck, the coolness calming. Honest, he exhales long and steady. Behind him, the fire settles into glowing embers. Light dimmer now, softer. He changes from linen into a lighter nightshirt, fabric falling easily over his shoulders. No clasps, no straps, only cloth that moves with breath. He gathers the armor once more, straightening a buckle, aligning the gauntlets neatly, placing each piece with care. Because steel, too, has earned its rest, he opens the window slightly. Night air flows in, carrying the scent of damp earth. And distant village hearths, crickets begin their soft chorus, a steady pulse beneath the stars. He listens, letting the sound wash through him. There is no call from below, no urgent knock, only peace he sits upon the edge of, his bed firelight flickering faintly along the walls. And he feels it again, that quiet easing, that sacred release, when strength is set aside and breath becomes light, free, unarmored. He lowers himself onto the bed slowly, the mattress giving beneath him, straw shifting in a soft whisper. He draws the blanket up across his chest, feeling its steady warmth settle around him. The window remains slightly open, night air drifting through in gentle waves. Cool against the quiet heat of the hearth, the embers glow low and red, faint pulses of light rising and fading, like a second heartbeat in the room. He turns onto his side, resting his head against the pillow, breathing deep. Even unforced outside the tower, the night is calm. An owl calls once in the distance. Then silence returns. Clouds move slowly across the sky. Stars steady and bright. He closes his eyes gradually, letting the images of the day drift away. Sunlight on stone, the murmur of voices, the steady ring of practiced steel. They fade without weight. Without resistance, he places one hand over his chest, feeling the calm rhythm beneath linen. Alive, balanced, restored sleep approaches softly, like a cloak drawn gently over tired shoulders. Not sudden, not heavy, just patient. And in the hush of the dimming hearth, the knight who laid down his armor lays down the day once more, drifting into deep, earned, peaceful rest. The chamber grows darker as the embers sink lower. Only a faint red glow remains, touching the edges of stone. He lies still beneath the blanket, breath slow, steady, the weight of the day completely gone. Outside, the wind brushes softly along the tower walls. Leaves murmur in distant trees, the sound low, continuous. He sinks deeper into sleep, shoulders loose, hands resting gently at his side. In his dream, he stands once more in the courtyard, but it is empty, washed in pale moonlight. No armor stand near the wall, no sword leaning in shadow. Only open space and cool air. He walks across the stones barefoot, feeling their smooth surface beneath his feet. The well reflects the stars above, clear and still. He leans over its edge, seeing himself not framed by steel, not shaped by duty, but simple human breathing alive. The dream carries him beyond the gate, across fields, shimmering in silver light, grass bending gently beneath the breeze. There is no trumpet, no call to defend, only quiet, only rhythm. And even in sleep he understands that strength is not constant readiness, but balance, the sacred circle, to wear, to release, to stand, and to rest. And in that knowing he drifts deeper, held safely in the calm embrace of night. The night keeps its patient watch, hours passing without measure. The sky above the tower shifts slowly. Stars turning in silent arcs, he remains wrapped in deep, steady sleep, breath rising and falling with gentle rhythm. The blanket warm around his shoulders, the chamber still and protective. Outside, the first faint thinning of darkness begins. A quiet easing along the horizon, not yet light, but a promise of it. In his dream he walks along a narrow path through tall grass, each blade tipped with silver dew, the air cool against his skin. He carries no shield, no sword, only the steady sound of his own breath. The path leads him toward the keep, its towers calm against the pale sky, peaceful, unthreatened. He feels the strength within him, not forged in battle, but shaped by rest, by firelight, by the careful laying down of armor. The dream softens at its edges, colors fading gently as dawn gathers beyond the shutters. His body remains still upon the bed, balanced between darkness and day. Soon he will wake, soon he will rise, soon steel will rest upon his shoulders once more. But for now, he remains suspended in the final quiet moments of night, held in that sacred rhythm of strength and surrender. A pale thread of light begins to slip through the shutters, soft grey touching the stone floor. The chamber remains quiet. Wrapped in the final breath of night, he stirs gently beneath the blanket, not fully waking, just shifting within the calm. His breathing changes slightly. Still deep, still even. The dream of dew-covered grass fades slowly, like mist lifting from a field outside. A bird calls, once clear and simple. Somewhere below, a door opens, wood brushing softly against stone. The keep begins to breathe again. He lies still for a moment, eyes closed, listening, holding on to the softness of sleep. The armor stands where he placed it, silent in the growing light, patient, unmoving. It does not reach for him. It does not demand. It simply waits. He inhales slowly, cool dawn air filling his lungs, and exhales gently, letting the final traces of night drift away. Soon will rise. Soon he will fasten each strap, walk once more into the rhythm of the day. But for this quiet, lingering moment, he remains unarmored, balanced between rest and readiness, between softness and strength, and in that still pause, he remembers the sacred circle that carries him forward, to wear, to serve, and to lay it down again. He lets his eyes open slowly, blinking into the pale morning light. The chamber appears calm and unchanged. Stone walls touched by silver glow. The hearth dark now, only faint ash resting within. He draws a long, steady breath, feeling how freely it moves through his chest. No plate pressing, no strap tightening, only air cool and clean. He turns slightly beneath the blanket, letting his feet reach the edge of the bed, the stone floor cool against his skin, grounding, present. He sits upright without haste, back straight, shoulders loose. the quiet strength within him clear and steady. He runs a hand through his hair, awake, rested, balanced outside the courtyard begins its gentle rhythm, footsteps passing, a stable door creaking open. The distant murmur of morning voices. He looks toward the armor resting on its stand. Helmet beside gauntlets, chest plate upright. Ready? It does not appear heavy from where he sits, because he knows it will not remain forever. He understands now the flow of it. Morning effort, evening release. He inhales once more, deep and calm, then slowly rises to his feet, preparing to step once again into the day. Carrying steel upon his shoulders and stillness within his heart, guided always by that sacred balance to wear and to lay it down. He lets his eyes open slowly, blinking into the pale morning light. The chamber appears calm and unchanged. Stone walls touched by silver glow. The hearth, dark now, only faint ash resting within. He draws a long, steady breath, feeling how freely it moves through his chest. No plate pressing, no strap tightening, only air cool and clean. He turns slightly beneath the blanket, letting his feet reach the edge of the bed, the stone floor cool against his skin, grounding, present. He sits upright without haste, back straight, shoulders loose, the quiet strength within him clear and steady. He runs a hand through his hair, awake, rested, balanced outside the courtyard begins its gentle rhythm, footsteps passing, a stable door creaking open. The distant murmur of morning voices. He looks toward the armor resting on its stand. Helmet beside gauntlets, chest plate upright. Ready? It does not appear heavy from where he sits, because he knows it will not remain forever. He understands now the flow of it. Morning effort, evening release. He inhales once more, deep and calm, then slowly rises to his feet, preparing to step once again into the day. Carrying steel upon his shoulders and stillness within his heart, guided always by that sacred balance to wear and to lay it down. He walks toward the basin in quiet steps, morning light widening across the floor. He pours fresh water from the clay pitcher. The stream clear and steady. He cups it in his hands, lifting it to his face, the cool touch, waking him fully. Droplets fall back into stone with soft echoes. He exhales, clear, present. He opens the shutters a little wider, letting dawn air move freely through the chamber. The scent of damp grass rises from below, mixed with faint smoke from early fires. In the courtyard, figures move calmly. A bucket lowers into the well. A horse stamps gently against stone. Life returning in steady rhythm. He turns toward the armor stand. Sunlight touching the curve of polished steel. He rests his hand upon the chest plate, feeling its cool firmness, not as burden but as part of the circle. He lifts the linen tunic first, pulling it over his shoulders, the cloth settling lightly against his skin. Then he raises the chest plate, positioning it carefully against his torso. The weight returns balanced, secure. He fastens each strap slowly, breathing evenly, testing the fit. Shoulder plates follow gauntlets, drawn on boots laced with steady hands. Finally, he lifts the helmet, holding it briefly before placing it upon his head. The world narrows slightly, sound softened, light framed, yet inside. He remains unchanged, calm, grounded, ready, because when night comes again, steel will meet wood, and breath will move freely once more. He steps into the corridor once more, boots meeting stone with a steady echo, morning light spilling through narrow windows, dust turning lazily in the air. He descends the spiral stairs without hurry, each step measured, each breath calm. The armor settles evenly along his frame, not heavy, not tight, balanced by the rest he carries within. The lower hall greets him with gentle movement, voices, soft footsteps passing, a broom brushing, quietly along the floor. He walks into the courtyard, sky wide and clear above the towers, blue stretching without end. The breeze moves across open space. Turning banners slowly, he lifts his visor just slightly, letting air brush against his face. Inhale, cool exhale. Steady, he walks toward the outer gate, nodding to the watch, their armor catching brief flashes of sunlight, yet their expressions relaxed, ordinary. He rests a gloved hand upon the stone wall, looking across distant fields, farmers moving in patient lines, the world unfolding without alarm, without urgency. He stands there for a moment, feeling the rhythm within his chest, matching the rhythm of the day, and beneath the steel he wears, the memory of firelight remains. A quiet ember reminding him always that strength is not constant strain, but balance, to stand, to serve, and when the sun falls, to lay it down. Again, the morning stretches gently toward midday, sunlight warming the courtyard stones. He walks along the inner path beside the wall. Observing without strain, a cart rolls through the gate, wood wheels humming softly against packed earth. The driver nods in passing. He returns the nod with quiet ease. Children gather near the well, their laughter bright but light. Carried easily by the breeze, he watches them for a moment, not distant, not separate. Simply present. The blacksmith's hammer rings from the far corner. Measured strikes shaping heated iron. Sparks rise briefly, then fade. The sound blends into the steady hum of the keep. He adjusts a strap along his shoulder, ensuring balance. The armor rests evenly, supported by calm breath beneath it. He lifts his visor slightly, letting fresh air brush his brow. Inhale slow, exhale longer. The day continues in quiet patterns. Voices rise and fall, tools strike and settle, lanterns remain dark until evening. He stands beneath the open sky, feeling neither rushed nor idle, simply steady because he understands the rhythm. Morning, effort, afternoon, watch, evening, release. And when shadows lengthen once more, there will be stone stairs, a wooden door, firelight waiting, and the sacred easing of straps, steel resting once again. Midday light settles fully over the keep bright, yet gentle he moves toward the training yard once more. Young squires practicing in careful repetition, wooden blades, striking shields with controlled rhythm. He watches, quietly, offering a soft correction, a steady nod, his voice low, measured, never sharp. The armor shifts lightly with his movements, yet it does not weigh upon him, because his breath remains deep. Unforced, he steps back, into the shade along the wall, ivy leaves stirring softly in the breeze. He rests a hand against the cool stone, feeling its firmness, its endurance beyond the gate. The fields sway beneath sunlight, golden lines bending. In patient waves, the world remains calm, untroubled. He lifts his visor once more, letting air touch his face. Inhale, full exhale. Even the day continues without spectacle, voices murmuring, footsteps passing. The quiet work of ordinary life unfolding. He feels the steady beat within his chest, matching the steady rhythm around him. And beneath the steel he wears, there remains the ember of last night, the memory of firelight, of linen, of rest. It guides him through the hours, softening his strength, balancing effort with ease. And when the sun begins its descent, he knows what waits, not battle, but the sacred quiet of laying it down once more. The afternoon begins to lean toward evening, sunlight softening from bright gold to warmer hues. He walks the outer wall again, looking across the open land, farmers, guiding their tools through soil. Movement steady, unhurried, No rider approaches with haste. No horn sounds across the fields. Only wind moving gently through tall grass. He rests both hands upon the stone, feeling its cool strength beneath his gloves. The wall stands, because it was shaped with patient stone placed upon stone. Carefully, just as his balance has been shaped through effort, through surrender. A bell sounds faintly within the keep, marking the passing hour. Low calm. Carried by the breeze, he descends the narrow stair, returning to the courtyard, shadows now stretching long across the ground. Lanterns prepared along the walls. Waiting for flame, he removes his helmet briefly, holding it at his side. Evening air cool against his face. Breathing deeply, slow grounded, the armor feels complete. A day worn fully, a duty carried with calm, the sky shifts toward amber and blue. The first star appearing faintly above the tower, he turns towards the stair leading to his chamber, boots steady against worn stone. Knowing what awaits, firelight, soft linen, the quiet unfastening of straps, steel meeting wood, and the sacred easing of breath. Twilight settles gently over the keep lantern's glow. Along the corridor walls he climbs the stone stairs at an unhurried pace. Each step familiar beneath his boots, the sounds of the courtyard soften behind him. Voices. Lower movement slow. At his chamber door he pauses, hand resting briefly against the wood, breathing in, breathing out. Then he enters. The hearth is already lit, flames rising steadily from fresh stacked wood, amber light, stretching across the stone walls. Warm, welcoming, he stands still for a moment, letting the silence gather around him. His hands rise to the helmet first, lifting it carefully, setting it upon the table. The sound of metal, touching wood calm and low. Cool air brushes against his brow, relief unfolding quietly. He loosens the straps at his shoulders, one by one, leather slipping free. The weight shifts, growing lighter. The chest plate lifts. Away held with steady hands placed gently upon its stand. Gauntlets removed, boots unlaced, each piece resting neatly where it belongs. Underneath remains simple linen. Warm, unrestricted, he steps closer to the fire, watching the flames curl and rise, the glow soft against his features, his shoulders lower naturally, breath deepening, the day dissolving into night. And once again he stands unarmored, restored, balanced, ready for rest. He moves toward the basin in slow, quiet steps, pouring cool water into the shallow bowl. The stream steady. Clear, he washes his hands carefully, rubbing away dust from stone and yard. The faint scent of iron, the warmth of the fading day droplets fall softly echoing against the basin. A gentle rhythm in the quiet room, he lifts water to his face, letting it trail along his cheeks, across his neck. The coolness, soothing, honest, he exhales. Long steady behind him, the fire settles lower flames, shrinking into glowing embers. Light softer now, calmer. He changes from linen into a lighter nightshirt, fabric falling easily over his shoulders. No clasps, no straps, only cloth that moves with breath. He gathers the armor once more, straightening a buckle, aligning the gauntlets, placing each piece with care upon its stand, because steel too must rest. He opens the window slightly. Night air flows in, carrying the scent of damp grass and distant village hearths. Crickets begin their quiet chorus, a steady pulse beneath the stars. He listens, letting the sound settle deep within him. There is no knock. At the door, no call from below, only stillness. He sits upon the edge of the bed, firelight flickering faintly along the stone, and he feels again that sacred easing. When strength is set aside, and breath becomes light, free, unarmored. He lowers himself onto the bed with quiet care, the mattress giving gently beneath his weight, straw shifting in a soft whisper. He draws the blanket across his chest, feeling its steady warmth settle around him. The window remains slightly open, night air drifting through in slow, cool waves. The embers glow low in the hearth, a faint red pulse rising and fading. Like a distant heartbeat, he turns onto his side, resting his head against the pillow, breathing deep. Even unforced, outside the tower the night is calm. Clouds moving slowly across the sky, stars steady and bright. A distant owl calls once, then silence returns. He closes his eyes, gradually, letting the images of the day dissolve, sunlight on stone, the murmur of voices, the steady rhythm of boots in the courtyard. They drift away without weight. Without resistance, he places one hand lightly over his chest, feeling the steady pulse beneath linen. Alive, balanced, restored sleep approaches softly, like a cloak drawn gently over tired shoulders. Not sudden, not heavy, just patient. And in the hush of the dimming hearth, the knight who laid down his armor lays down the day again, drifting into deep, earned, peaceful rest. The chamber settles into deeper quiet, the embers dimming to a softer glow, barely touching the stone walls with red light. He lies still beneath the blanket, breath slow, steady. The night wraps gently around the tower. Cool and protective, outside the wind brushes along distant trees, leaves murmuring in low, steady tones. He sinks further into sleep, shoulders loose, hands relaxed, the weight of the day completely gone. In his dream he walks once more through the courtyard, but it is empty, bathed in silver moonlight. No armor stand near the wall, no sword leaning in shadow, only open space and calm air. He crosses the stones barefoot, feeling their smooth, cool surface. The well reflects the stars above, clear and still. He leans over its edge, seeing himself not framed by steel, not shaped by duty, but simple, human, breathing, alive. The dream carries him beyond the gate, across fields shimmering in pale light, grass bending gently beneath the breeze. There is no trumpet, no call to defend, only quiet, only rhythm, and even in sleep, he understands that strength is not constant, readiness, but balance, the sacred circle to wear, to release, to stand, and to rest. And in that knowing he drifts deeper, held safely in the calm embrace of night. The night continues its slow and patient turning, hours passing without sound. The sky above the tower shifts quietly, stars tracing gentle arcs across the dark. He remains wrapped in deep, steady sleep, breathing long, even unbroken. The blanket rests warmly across his shoulders, the chamber calm and still. Outside, the first faint thinning of darkness begins, a soft easing along the horizon. Not yet light, but the promise of it in his dream. He stands upon the outer wall once more, fields stretching endlessly before him. Silver beneath fading moonlight, he feels no weight upon his shoulders, no steel guarding his chest, only cool air moving freely around him. He steps down from the wall, walking across dew-touched grass, each step slow, unhurried. The horizon glows faintly, a pale line separating earth and sky. He inhales deeply, the air fresh, untouched by effort. And, in that dream state, he understands again that each day will bring weight, and each night will carry it away. That strength is not endless tension, but rhythm. Inhale, wear, exhale, release. As dawn begins to gather beyond the shutters, his body remains still upon the bed, balanced between darkness and day. Soon he will wake, soon he will rise, soon steel will rest upon his shoulders once more. But for now, he remains in that sacred pause, held gently between rest and readiness. A pale silver light slips quietly through the shutters, touching the edge of the stone floor. The chamber remains hushed. Held in the final breath of night, he stirs beneath the blanket, not fully waking, just shifting. Within the calm, his breathing changes slightly, still deep, still even. The dream of open fields fades slowly, like mist lifting from cool grass. Outside, a bird calls once clear and steady. Somewhere below, a door opens, wood brushing softly against stone. The keep begins its gentle return to life. He lies still for a moment longer, eyes closed, listening, holding the softness of sleep. The armor stands where it was placed, silent in the growing light, patient, unmoving. It does not demand, it simply waits. He inhales deeply, cool dawn air filling his lungs, and exhales slowly, letting the final trace of night drift away. Soon he will rise. Soon he will fasten each strap, walk once more into the rhythm of the day. But for this lingering quiet moment, he remains unarmored, balanced between rest and readiness, between softness and strength, and in that still pause he remembers, sacred circle that carries him forward, to wear, to serve, and to lay it down again.